स्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। So, in the 18th chapter, we are looking into an exhaustive analysis of karma at various levels, starting from the most fundamental aspects of karma. And just now we saw the classification of the sukha that is enjoyed, that is an outcome of karma, into three levels. The sukha is also rajasa, satvika, rajasa, and tamasa. And now Lord Krishna gets into the summarization of the Varna classification that he talked about in the 4th chapter. So, Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagashaha tasya kartaram api mam vidhi akartaram avyayam. So, that is what he said in the 4th chapter. And because 18th chapter is a summary, he is briefly talking about that again. So in verse number 41, he said, Brahmana kshatriya visham shudranam cha parantapa karmani pravibhaktani swabhava prabhavair gunai. So the four varnas, as Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, the professions of the four karmas, that is divided based on the natural tendencies, natural inclinations of a person. So it is largely a factor of the family that a person is born into. Because as I said, so this whole classification, even though it is not strictly family-based, it is not very rigidly family-based, but it is also connected to the family that a person is born in. Why? Because our own karma alone decides where we are born, in which kind of environment we are born into. Suppose a person is born in a certain country, so which has a certain culture, then it means that the natural tendencies of a person, they are suited to living in that place at that time. So that is how the law of karma works. So suppose a person who is very, very sattvika is born in a society which is highly driven and highly competitive, then it would not be very suitable for that person. So our karma alone decides where we are born. So it starts from that level. But again, it should not be strictly restricted only to that basis. Because even though a person is born in a certain environment, you should always have the options of doing something different if that is what your natural inclination is. So it is not true that there will be a place where a person's natural inclinations can never be brought out and can never be expressed. So there is always room for the natural tendencies of a person to be expressed. So even though a person may be born in a certain family, so there should be an option for the person to do something different. So that is why this classification is not very rigid. So that is why Lord Krishna in the 4th chapter also said Guna Karma Vibhagasha. So based on the guna and based on the professions that a person is engaged in. So the classification is done. So not based on jati. Lord Krishna did not even mention jati. But still, in a practical sense. So it is connected a lot with the jati. Because as we see in a practical, in the world also, we see that the child or a person born in a certain family naturally picks up the profession of the father or of the older people, of the profession, the older people are engaged in the family. So the son of a sportsman is very likely to become another sportsman. So easily becomes another sportsman. Because you get the knowledge very easily. You grow up with that and you absorb the knowledge very easily. So the son of a politician becomes a politician. And the son of an artist, son or daughter of an artist becomes an artist. So that is how it is in a practical sense, if you look at it. So here Lord Krishna said, Brahmana Kshatriya Visham Shudranam cha Parantapa Karmani Pravibhaktani. So in the 4th chapter, he said Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. So here he is only saying karma. So Karmani Pravibhaktani Swabhava Prabhavair Gunai. So the professions or the occupation a person is engaged in is largely decided based on the natural temperament, natural tendencies, or the natural inclinations of that person. So Swabhava Prabhavaihi Gunaihi. So Swabhava, as I said, that I inherit from before I was born. Swabhava is not something that is formed only after I have entered into this body. Because we are born with a lot of tendencies which are not even a consequence of the environment we are grown in. We grow in. So certain things come very naturally to certain people. So in 2 years or 3 years, a person suddenly becomes a prodigy. When there is no connection to that talent in that family in this janma. So a lot of our inherent tendencies are carried over from the past. So all that is included in Swabhava. So that is what I wanted to say. Swabhava Prabhavaihi Gunaihi. And then he is going to talk about the generic qualities of a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. So, verse number 42, Lord Krishna says, Shamo damastapas shaucham kshantirarjavamevacha jnanam vijnanamastikhyam brahma karma swabhavajam. So, a person who would naturally take to doing something for restraining the mind, who would like doing it. So, who is naturally inclined towards discipline and understands the importance of doing all this. So, all of this is done very ungrudgingly, uncomplainingly, and very willingly and enthusiastically. Like Shama. Shama is restraint of the mind. So, not allowing the mind to get distracted unnecessarily. To be pulled in various directions. So, you don't have any control over your mind if one doesn't have Shama. But a natural desire to restrain the mind, if that is there in the person, then that person is a Guna Brahmana. Because normally, if you tell people that restraint is a good thing, so the general response would be, why should I deny myself the good things in life? Why should I not have fun? So why should I not enjoy my life? So enjoying my life is looked at as a fundamental right. So that I should have enough opportunity to enjoy my life. But then there are some people who can see that just enjoying my life, having fun, is not helping me grow and evolve. Is only making me waste a lot of time. So having fun in so many different ways. There are so many possibilities nowadays. So the governments also encourage, like the gaming industry. So it is a billions of dollars industry. So that is encouraged. So you are just having fun basically. And you are spending money to have fun. And there are people who become experts and then also monetize it. So, but there are some people who see that, this kind of spending time on gaming. So, if at all it contributes to my own development, it is okay. But it hardly does. But you can have fun. You can, in fact, it may develop some qualities which are good. But most of it is just entertainment. So people who are naturally withdrawing from these kind of things, a person who has adequate Shama, a person who is interested in increasing sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. So viveka, vairagya, shama, dama, uparama, titiksha, shraddha, samadhana, and who is a mumukshu. That kind of a person is a guna brahmana. So because most of the time it is not like that. People think life is meant to have fun. So this person, so the key factors to note here is you do it very uncomplainingly, ungrudgingly, and willingly and enthusiastically. If you do that, then you are a Guna Brahmana. So not like when someone asks you to have restraint, so you very grudgingly do that. Why should I deny myself? Why am I doing this? So why do I not do anything in something else? So if you think like that, then that is not a Brahmana quality. There is effort involved, but you do it willingly. And then Dhamma also, restraint of the sense organs. So restraint of the mind, that is handling one's emotions and looking within. That is Shama. And restraint of one's sense organs, that would be Dhamma. Sense organs and organs of action. So that would be Dhamma. Willingly and enthusiastically. And then Shaucham. So there are some people for whom even taking bath is a big struggle. So you keep on postponing. There are some people who take bath at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So keep on postponing. Why would you want to do that? You get up in the morning, take a bath. So that should be the natural thing to do. So, but there are some people who do that. I mean, who have the tendency to keep pushing it. That means there is no Brahmanatvam there. But if there is someone who has this commitment to cleanliness, because every day the body has to be cleaned. I mean, whether you think it should be or it should not be, it doesn't matter. The body needs a bath. And then it needs to be clean. And also keeping your environment clean, surroundings clean. So you naturally do that. So if it is dirty, then you don't like it to immediately try to set it in order, clean it up. So not to the level of having OCD, but a certain level of cleanliness. So that is Shaucham, and someone who naturally has that tendency is a Brahman. Shaucham, keeping the environment clean. So in India especially, people do not think for a moment to just throw waste anywhere and everywhere. So that is a problem in India. So just like that, when you are driving on the highway and you are driving near the bus, suddenly you will find that there is a bottle that falls on your car. No one is even thinking. So you just, the bottle is empty, you just throw it out, toss it out of the window. So that is absurd. So, but still, someone who has a natural tendency to keep the environment clean and so who has that restraint to not throw anything anywhere and everywhere. So that is Shaucham and Kshantihi. So ability to acceptance, not complain all the time. Complain about your situation, the environment, people around the society. So not being very complaining. So that is Kshanti. And the ability to forgive also. So Kshantihi and Arjavam. Wanting to be straightforward. So you are not thinking something in your mind and saying something else and doing something different. So your thought, speech, and action are completely transparent. So there is a transparency in the person. So that is Arjavam. And jnanam and vijnanam. That means you have the natural inclination to gain knowledge. And vijnanam is also mentioned. The jnanam and vijnanam can mean the same thing. But when both are mentioned in the same breath, then jnanam means gaining knowledge and vijnanam means absorbing that, assimilating that. Sometimes you can have knowledge, but it can be purely theoretical. So it is not applied. So vijnanam means the application and absorption. That means the tendency to want to soak in that knowledge. Absorb means soaking in that knowledge. There are some people with experience who are just soaked in knowledge. I mean, a certain kind of knowledge, whatever they have. So expertise. So the person lives, breathes that knowledge all the time. Someone who has completely soaked it in. So that kind of inclination is again a quality of a Brahmana. And here jnanam, vijnanam would primarily mean spiritual knowledge. Because if it is some other knowledge, then it would become Rajasa. So here it is more spiritual. Jnanam, vijnanam and astikyam. Astikyam is another word for Shraddha. So who has a natural ability to have faith in the Shastra. So that is astikyam. And who does not question the existence of an Almighty. So some people call themselves agnostic. That means you don't know, that you're not sure whether there is an Almighty or not. But the Shastra doesn't have that doubt whatsoever. The Shastra clearly says, yes, there is a conscious being. Nimitta Karanam is there, definitely. So Ishvara is there. So that kind of conviction you have. You may not know completely. So you may not have a complete conviction, but still the faith is complete. So that is astikyam. The faith in the pramana, in the means of knowledge, that there is an independent means of knowledge to know about the Almighty, to gain knowledge about the Almighty, and a faith in the Shastra, in the scriptures. What we call pramana buddhi. So that is astikyam. Astikyam brahma karma swabhavajam. So these are all the qualities of a Brahma. So what we can do with it is we can evaluate our own tendencies based on this list that Lord Krishna has given. So Shama, Dama, whether I do it willingly, enthusiastically, without grudging, without complaining, without thinking I'm denying myself of fun. So restraint, that discipline is also engaged in very naturally, very enthusiastically. Tapaha, I missed out tapaha. So shamaha, damaha, I went into shaucham. So tapaha also other kinds of discipline. Yoga can also be tapas, because you have to do it every day regularly. So any kind of tapas. So whether it is fasting, Fasting is tapas. But intermittent fasting may not be tapas, actually. So because that is more for health reasons. It is good thing. And fasting for physical health will not qualify as a spiritual discipline. But indirectly, it may amount to being a spiritual discipline also. But the attitude with which you do it, that matters. So here, tapas is mainly for spiritual growth, as a spiritual discipline. So tapas. So where you enthusiastically engage in tapas, discipline. So there is no grudge whatsoever. So tapaha, shaucham, cleanliness. Kshantihi, arjavam. And jnanam, vijnanam, astikyam, brahma karma, swabhavajam. So then we will move on to kshatram karma. So kshatriya karma. Verse number 43. Shauryam tejo dhritir dakshyam yudde chapyapalayanam danam ishvara bhavascha kshatram karma swabhavajam. So these are the natural qualities of a kshatriya, or the profession which would require these kind of qualities to be present in a person. So shauryam means valor, bravery. So generally, job of a kshatriya was to be ready to fight all the time. So if you look at the Mahabharata, even fighting a war was looked at as a sport. So there are two people fighting in the Mahabharata. And then the other person, each one can at any time kill the other person. But you find that even when a person gets hurt by the other person, so you are admiring the bravery of the other person. So if that person is younger. So amazing. What amazing talent you have. That person is killing you. But still you are admiring the bravery and valor of that person. Or you get the better of that person, you kill that person, and then you go and you pay your respects to that person. So like in the Mahabharata, there was Abhimanyu, who displayed amazing bravery, valor. So just a boy of 16 or so, 16, 17, 16 I think. So amazing valor he displayed. And all these people, Karna, Duryodhana, all these people, they surrounded him and murdered him actually. It was not even a fair fight. So they murdered him. But in the evening, when they were cremating the body, all of them went to pay their respects to him. So these are the people who have murdered him, who have killed him, fought against him. But they are admiring the valor and bravery that the person has displayed. So it's very interesting actually. So you are looking at even fighting a war as a sport. And as a kshatriya, you are never allowed to run away from a war. Even in recent times, in Rajput kingdom, it seems what they used to do was when a person returned home wounded from a war. So they would see whether the wound is in front of the body or at the back. So if the wound is at the back, it seems they would not nurse that person. So because he has been wounded while running away from the war. So if you have it in front, then it means you have been wounded while fighting the war. So there was so much credit given to fighting the war bravely. So that valor is displayed. So that is Shauryam. And one who displays that. So Shauryam, Tejaha. Tejaha means certain brilliance and intelligence required, knowledge for acquiring knowledge of that profession. So that is Tejaha. And Dhriti. Dhriti, naturally determination. So we have seen different kinds of Dhriti. Here it is Rajasa Dhriti. So determination. And you are relentlessly pursuing it. So here determination is also in terms of motivating yourself to be successful. So some people are very highly driven to be successful. So it requires a lot of determination because you don't achieve success easily. So, but that drive is primarily for the sake of, motivated by wealth or power, the desire for power or recognition, whatever. So that is how the ambition is motivated. But still that determination is there. So that kind of determination a person has, dhritihi, and dakshyam. Dakshyam means very skillful. Very skillful. So dakshyam and adroit. So very deft and adept at doing everything. Like even in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 9th chapter, Lord Krishna says, Nimitta matram bhava savya sachin. So he calls Arjuna as a savya sachi. So savya sachi means one who is equally adept or skillful with doing anything in both hands. So that kind of skill. So normally we are all adept in one hand. So right hand or left hand. So Krishna calls Arjuna as a Savyasachi. So one who is skillful with both hands. So anyone who has that skillfulness, there are some people who are very clumsy. So who cannot do anything the right way. So clumsiness is there. But here it is not there. With regard to a Kshatriya, there is a skillfulness. So Daksham Yuddhe cha api apalayanam. I explained it even while talking about Shaurya. So not running away from a battle. So Yuddhe cha api. So showing valor, which means that you don't run away from a battle. You don't run away from anything. So you stand up and face whatever is thrown at you. So that kind of attitude. So that is a Kshatriya attitude. See, a lot of this all of us require. So you cannot be a pure Brahmana. Sometimes you need to be a Kshatriya also. So that is required for a Brahmana also. So a combination of this would be good. When the goal is clear, when the destination is clear, objective is clear, then a combination of this would also always be helpful. So yuddhe cha api apalayanam, and then danam, ability to give, share, like a karna. So danavir. So Karna was an amazing giver. So anyone asks him for anything, he just cannot refuse. Especially at a certain time, morning after he has worshipped Surya. So anyone who goes and asks him for anything there, he just cannot refuse. So that is the ability to give. So Danam, and then Ishvara Bhavaha, the ability to wield power. Ishvara Bhavaha is wielding power. So you have to wield power also very gracefully. So you have power and then you use that power. So if there are some people who are willing to listen to you, you have to use that ability. I use that power for good effect. So that kind of ability to wield power. So that is Ishvara Bhava. Some people, even if they are given power, they cannot wield it. So you don't know how to manage people. So that ability to wield power, so that is Ishvara Bhavaha. Dhanam Ishvara Bhavaha Swabhavajam Kshatram Karma. So that is naturally required for a Kshatriya's profession. So all these qualities, Shauryam, Tejaha, Dhritihi, Dakshyam, Yuddhe cha api apalayanam, Danam Ishvara Bhavaha. So Kshatram Karma Swabhavajam. And then the next verse, he is going to talk about Vaishya Karma and Shudra Karma, both. In the same verse. First line is Vaishya Karma, second line is Shudra Karma. So verse number 44. Krishi Gaurakshya Vanijyam Vaishya Karma Swabhavajam Danam Paricharyatmakam Karma Shudrasyapi Swabhavajam. So Krishi Gaurakshya Vanijyam. Krishi, agriculture. Because when you do agriculture, then you have to sell your produce also. So people have acres of land. So you cannot eat all that you grow in your land. So you grow and then you sell it, and with that money, you use it for other purposes. So you will have to always calculate how much you are spending and what is the return out of it. That is a business mind. So you cannot go into a loss. So a person who is always calculating as to what is my return in this. Everyone has to do that, cost benefit analysis. So if you have to be practical, so how much am I spending, what am I getting in return? Even if when you buy something, you have to do that. So what is the cost involved? Is it really worth it? So sometimes you feel this is too much and not worth the cost I'm paying for it. So why not worth the money I'm paying for it? So a Vaishya karma, an economic activity, a business activity, there you will have to be always thinking about the cost and the return. Like when you run a business, so you will always have to be thinking about it. So that is why Krishi, because in those days the main occupation was agriculture, Krishi. So that is why Krishi is mentioned as a business activity. Krishi and Gauraksha, Goraksha, protecting cows or taking care of cows. Again, cows give milk. The milk you sell. So you have to take care of the cows. In fact, everything that comes from a cow is monetizable. Even cow dung can be monetized. Nowadays, people find cow urine also can be monetized as a medicine. Because it has medicinal. There are people who make medicines out of cow urine. And then cow dung, it can be fertilizer also. You can sell it. When you do agriculture, when you do farming, so then you have to buy cow dung. So someone is monetizing it. So in some areas, even getting cow dung is difficult because everyone is doing agriculture, so it is much in demand. So anything that comes out of a cow, whether it is milk, urine, dung. So from milk, you have various other things. So you have curd, you have buttermilk, you have ghee. So you have so many things from milk. So anyone who is tending to cows, who is involved in that occupation, that person is a Vaishya. So you have to consider the cost and return. Cost involved and the return you get. So Krishi, Gauraksha and any other business, Vanijya. So Vaishya Karma Swabhavajam. So these are the natural professions of a Vaishya. Vaishya Karma Swabhavajam. And next line, he says, Paricharyatmakam Karma Shudrasyapi Swabhavajam. So very generic definition he gives. Paricharyatmakam Karma. So any job where you are just following orders, you don't have to do much thinking for yourself. Whether you are standing at a counter at a departmental store or working in a departmental store where you are just picking up things and then telling people where to go. That's a very mechanical job. You don't have anything more to do other than just following orders. So anywhere or in an office, in an administrative setup. So you are working in a job which does not require much thinking. So data entry. So you're just doing data entry whole day. There are some people who get paid also. So that kind of a job where there is not much thinking involved. So again, this is not being judgmental about anyone. Okay, we are not trying to be judgmental. So we are just trying to be objective, that's all. You are doing this job, this is this kind of a job. So that is all, because we need some people to follow orders also. Everyone cannot be giving orders. Someone has to follow also. So everyone, in fact, that is a problem sometimes, many times. Everyone gives orders, no one follows. So there, some people have to give, some people have to follow. Some people willingly follow also. Then that is a Shudra attitude. So paricharyatmakam karma Shudrasyapi swabhavajam. You are naturally inclined towards that kind of mechanical activity. So purely mechanical jobs. So floor shop, shop floor workers. So in a manufacturing facility. So you are just working on the assembly line. Something is coming, you are just monitoring what is, everything is going in an appropriate way. So that's a very mechanical job. So paricharyatmakam karma shudrasyapi swabhavajam. So this is about the various professions, natural professions. So Brahmana karma, Kshatriya karma, Vaishya karma, and Shudra karma. So again, this is all part of the bigger karma analysis. That is how we understand it. So you see a pattern in this whole conclusion. It's all about karma. So starting from the basic ingredients of karma and everything that is connected to karma. And what are the natural inclinations which push a person towards certain karma, or which push a person towards a certain profession? So that is what we are talking about. And we have to look at our own natural inclinations and where we fit in. Any job is okay. Even if I'm doing a mechanical job, that is also perfectly fine. In fact, that need not have any bearing on your spiritual growth or evolution. Because you are just doing that job. And in fact, by nature, you may be an evolved person. So it is fine. But generally, it is decided based on a person's tendency. A person who is a Brahmana by nature cannot probably do a Shudra karma for too long. Like someone who is a domestic help. So whole life this person has just been a domestic help. So you cannot do that job unless you have a natural inclination for that job. Do that job for your whole life. So a person who has a Brahmana guna. So how will you force yourself to do that mechanical activity for years together? It is very, very difficult. So anyway, this is how the classification is made. Then 45. So he explicitly states that engaged in whichever profession, you can gain moksha. So verse number 45. Sve sve karmanyabhirataha samsiddhim labhate naraha swakarmanirata siddhim yatha vindati tachranu. Sve sve karmani, in one's own occupation, job, or duty. So any occupation is looked at as a duty. Any job is looked at as a duty. That is how the Indian attitude is. So sve sve karmani abhirataha. one who is engaged completely. Abhirataha means engaged completely, involved completely, with full enthusiasm. Abhirataha. Rata means one who is reveling. Abhirataha means reveling completely. So abhirataha, that is involved fully. Naraha samsiddhim labhate. So one gains samsiddhi, fulfillment or success. So here it is in terms of gaining moksha. So samsiddhi is the qualities required for a mumuksha, gaining the qualities required for atmajnana. So sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. So sve sve karmani abhirataha samsiddhim labhate naraha swakarma nirataha siddhim yata vindati tachrunu. So how one gains that siddhi? By engaging in one's own duties. Listen to that. Let me talk about it. Okay, so whichever duty you're engaged in, you don't look at it in terms of the tangible outcome that it gives, the monetary outcome that it gives. That is extremely insignificant. It is necessary, but only up to a certain point, as long as your needs are satisfied. So once you satisfy your needs, then it becomes immaterial. So the monetary return out of doing something, it becomes completely irrelevant. So that is the yoga, that is the attitude of a karma yogi. Because there are a lot of people who are engaged in certain professions just for the sake of monetary returns or some tangible return. Some people who have met their basic needs. You don't require, for living a comfortable life, you don't require anything anymore. When you ask them, why are you continuing to do this? The answer is usually, what else will I do? So this is what I know. So I can just continue to keep doing this. So that's a very, very sad reply. So even after 50, 55, meaninglessly you are just doing something, just for the sake of money. Some people say also, I know how to make money, so I will keep making money. So just making money cannot be an end point. It is absurd, it is ridiculous. So here Lord Krishna says, how being engaged in your own profession can slowly qualify you to gain that spiritual success. So samsiddhi. So that should be the motivation primarily. After taking care of one's needs and then one's requirements, then that should be the primary intention, that should be the primary goal. So yatha vindati tat shrunu. So listen to me, I'm going to talk about it. So because he has talked about different karma, then he also has to talk about how to use that karma for the sake of one's own growth and maturity. So Lord Krishna, he says, I will myself talk about how to use your karma, with whatever you are engaged in for the sake of your own growth. What kind of attitude you should have. Like any karma, even if you look at the Mahabharata, the karma of a driver, a charioteer, that was given so much respect. A Sarathi was like a friend to a king. So he was given so much respect, and he was like a king's confidant. Like Dhritarashtra's confidant was Sanjaya. And even starting right from Shantanu. So he was completely committed to the king. Like, for example, when Shantanu, so Devavrata, Bhishma was his son through Ganga. So Ganga left him. And Devavrata came back after he became a youth. Then Shantanu, it was always his weakness. He had a weakness for women. So that was his problem. So even his attraction to Ganga, the Mahabharata says, was because he was attracted to her in a previous janma. And that was what was being carried over, and he got attracted to her in this janma. And that is why he agreed to her condition as to, you will not question me in whatever I do. So she went and drowned her 7 sons, and only when the 8th son, she was about to drown him, he questioned her. So he survived. So anyway, Shantanu's weakness was women. And so he got attracted to this Satyavati even after having a grown-up son. Devavrata Bhishma. Just imagine. Someone in their 50s. So still having this weakness. So this person got attracted, and the condition was that, the condition of Satyavati's father was that a son born to Satyavati alone will become the king. So Devavrata should relinquish his rights over the kingdom. So that was the condition. So, and Shantanu could not agree to that condition because he had already nominated Devavrata as his successor. So Devavrata, his father was going somewhere every day, but he did not know where he was going. And so he decides to ask the Sarathi, the charioteer, where is he going every day? He's not telling me also. He asks his father, but his father says certain things I cannot tell you, because he was very ashamed of himself, shy. So, but still he was overpowered by that weakness. So that Sarathi says that this is something very confidential and I cannot reveal it. And because he had so much dignity in the profession that he was engaged in, he could even refuse the crown prince about telling whatever the king was doing. And he was also treated like that. So every profession was treated in a very dignified way. A driver was not looked down upon. He was looked at as a very dignified person. And in fact, Sanjaya, all these people, these Sarathis were supposed to be very knowledgeable people. So even Yudhishthira, all the Pandavas, they had so much respect for Sanjaya. See, that is why Vyasa decided to give that Divya Drishti to Sanjaya. So if he was not capable of having that vision, then why would Vyasa have given it to Sanjaya? So that is the dignity people, professions had. So no profession was inferior or nothing was superior. It was just you were doing a certain job, that's all. So that is why Lord Krishna says here, Swakarma nirataha siddhim yata vindati tat shrunu. So being engaged in one's own karma, whatever it is, how you can gain siddhi, listen to the process now. So in this whole analysis of karma, he is going to talk about how to use the karma for one's own evolution or one's own growth. So which is also part of the analysis of karma. So we'll stop here and continue. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.